protect the wild.
Alright, hello and welcome to the second round of the ESL Southeast Asia Legend Series. We're following Justniice again. We just saw him come off a crushing 3-0 victory against Staz, and we're going to see if he can keep it up against Blight, who, according to my cheat sheet, is the top-ranked Southeast Asia Legend. Justniice is off to a killer start against this Hunter deck, though, with an Innervate into Shade turn 1. He's definitely going to put Blight on a clock, but his hand seems to be where he's comfortable being on a clock. He has a great curve. Scientist, Creeper, Animal Companion, Piloted Shredder. Even Web Spinner to round out a future play when he would have to otherwise float a mana and not use everything. So it's interesting now we see Justniice draw an Ancient of War. Didn't actually realize that was in his Druid deck from his last match. Didn't get to see that see play. It's questionable whether or not he would have still innervated out the Shade turn 1 with a future turn 5 Ancient of War as a prospect. Using the Shade right away to take care of that Scientist. And honestly, it doesn't look like Justniice's hand is that good now. Doesn't really have a whole lot to do. Shade is going to grow, but of course, there's probably a Freezing Trap down. Indeed there is. Is Big Game Hunter going to see play here? I suppose with a hand of 2 7-drops and a Savage Roar it makes sense, but there's always the suspicion that a Dr. Boom is in the deck, and we see Blight draw it immediately after the Big Game Hunter's played. That may come back to bite Justniice in another 4 turns or so. Alright, so Justniice does have a swipe to take care of the Haunted Creeper spiders, but he's not going to be able to pop the spider itself because of this Freezing Trap. It's actually a huge tempo play this turn because there's no way for Justniice to play a minion this turn. And even next turn, his best minion's a 4-2 on turn 5. It's definitely not threatening at all. Blight continues to draw decent minions to drop on the board. He's going to play on curve here with the Piloted Shredder. Like, it looks on paper like he hasn't dealt much damage to Justniice, so Justniice might be able to stabilize, but with the hands the way they are, Blight just has all the momentum right now. Knife Juggler's going to throw some knives and actually kill the Big Game Hunter. It's nice to see if you're Blight. So staring down a board of 6 minions, Justniice has to be thankful he has this swipe. It's still going to leave about 2 things on board, though. Depending on if this Piloted Shredder actually produces a worthwhile minion. Knife Juggler seems pretty worthwhile to me. And Blight's just drawing really, really solid cards right now. Well, you know, Kill Command's always solid, but the high main into a Dr. Boom is what's really going to put this game away, I think. It really forces Justniice into playing this Ancient of War here. A second Savage Roar is not going to do too much for him for a while. If he already had some tiny minions he could trade, then that would be one thing. I'm really unsure why this is happening. I wonder if this is a new glitch with the spectator mode after the latest patch. Alright, so Blight's wondering whether or not he can just safely Dr. Boom here. The Dr. Boom itself is going to throw 3 knives. Then Haunted Creeper could throw some knives, but now if he wants to get both Boombots, he's going to have to, like, attack the Knife Juggler in first. Just going to opt for the Tundra Rhino here, seems fine to me. It's going to give these Hyenas charge.
I concede.
Alright, it's another game where we got glitched, but
Well played.
The game ended very quickly after that. Blight's up 1-0 with his Hunter deck. And hopefully the glitch is left far behind. So let's take a look at the players' lineups. Blight just had his Hunter deck win against Justniice's Druid. Blight has a remaining Warrior and Warlock. Pretty common lineup, Hunter, Warrior, Warlock. Basically the three most popular classes in tournament play right about now. Gonna be interesting to see which version of Warlock he brought. We know Justniice has Handlock. Blight may have brought Zoo, may have brought Handlock. Possibly even the Malagos Lock that's becoming more and more popular. And Warrior could always be Patron. But Control Warrior is becoming more and more popular in tournaments due to its ability to beat the Patron decks. Could be some polarizing matchups coming up depending on in what order these players pick their decks. This is actually what I was just thinking about. Well, this looks like it's going to be Patron with the Dread Corsair and the Battle Rage in the hand, but if this was Control Warrior, it would have been a pretty favored against the Oil Rogue, I would say. As it stands, Oil Rogue might actually have a slight advantage. Some people say it's very favored over Patron, but it really depends on the draws in my opinion. Patron Warrior does have hands where it's just kind of unstoppable. But Oil Rogue is one of those few decks with a very reliable board clear. Only requires 2 cards, Blade Flurry, and one of the weapon buff spells to clear a board of Patrons. It's very important in this matchup, obviously. Blight is at 3 mana and he's not going to coin in anything. And he's choosing not to play the Armorsmith as well. Might be trying to save it for a Whirlwind effect when he can gain a ton of armor in 1 turn to put himself out of range with the Oil Rogue bursting him down. Justniice's hand is, well, it's pretty nice, honestly. Has Violet Teacher, a bunch of cheap spells, Dr. Boom coming up eventually, perhaps Sprint for whenever. Perhaps Sprint's very important to let him draw the combo. Doesn't have any weapon buff spells or the Blade Flurry yet, but the rest of his hand is about as solid as it can be. He's going to coin into the Violet Teacher here, say, hope you have a way to remove it, and then probably prep Sprint. Blight does actually have a way to remove it with the Death's Bite and Inner Rage. He could just Death's Bite it and leave the Inner Rage in his hand for a combo later and use the Death's Bite second charge later to finish it off along with any of the 1/1s that could come out. It's pretty safe if he's willing to take next to 3 damage from the Violet Teacher hitting him in the face. Inner Rage is very valuable. Let's see how much value Blight places on the Inner Rage here. Alright, he is going to hold it. Prep Sprint coming down immediately for Justniice, going to refill his hand nicely. Getting him some useless 1/1s that are going to die to this Blade Flurry coming up. But the hand's really evolving into something very threatening. He has a Deadly Poison and a Blade Flurry now, along with Southsea Deckhand for whenever Oil comes up. No more preps as it stands, but a lot of burst damage. Blight does draw a Patron, though. He is also getting there as far as setting up threatening plays. Looks like he's going to make 4 Patrons and force Justniice to have a board clear. It's very fortunate in this case that he does. Looks like we're going to see a Blade Flurry this turn. Seven damage total to the face, using the Thalnos basically to cycle. He didn't need the extra damage, but it's on curve and he wanted to draw some more cards. Perfectly reasonable. Just gotta hope that he didn't need a 2-mana spell damage in the future. Both players still reasonably healthy. No one's at risk of dying immediately, it seems. Not with these hands, anyway. Blood Mage Thalnos had a lot of use here.
This guy's toast.
Allowed him to kill the Armorsmith with just a backstab, and he cycled it. Double SI7 agent taking out this Gnomish Inventor. Again, not the most threatening cards, but Warrior does have a pretty hard time dealing with things like this. Without a weapon, there's really not a whole lot in the Patron Warrior deck as far as removal goes. It takes out 3 health minions. Mostly just whirlwind effects and the like. It's possible we just see if Dr. Boom here. It's very powerful. He still gets to clear the Acolyte before it draws an additional card, leaving the Gnomish Inventor. It's moderately inconsequential. Seems like that was a very good pickup, though, with the Whirlwind already in his hand. Execute's really the one thing that Blight is missing at this point. Usually you play a Dr. Boom expecting it to die immediately. It's a big game Hunter and Execute. In this case, we might actually see it live a turn. Never mind, Slam picked up just what Blight needed here. Unfortunately, he can't go Grim Patron, Execute, and Whirlwind, so we're probably going to see him hold back on the Patron this turn. He can draw a lot of cards, though, if the Boombots don't immediately kill his board. The Boombots do cooperate for Blight, leaving the Armorsmith just alive enough to draw an extra card off Battle Rage. He didn't get to play a bunch of Patrons or Emperor this turn, but drawing 3 cards for 2 mana definitely isn't a problem, especially when Emperor is going to come right down the pike next turn more than likely. An Oil has been drawn, though. So South Sea Deckhand, Oil, and Blade Flare here are all ready for whenever it's possible to actually game Blight. Blight does have a way to kill his Azure Drake, but he has to worry about his life. Alright, so Justniice is choosing to cycle first and probably eviscerate the Emperor. Double Oil. The damage is just starting to stack up here. Might re-weapon, might just summon the teacher to put something on board. Opting for the weapon. He still obviously can't go South Sea Deckhand into Double Oil Blade Flare without a prep, but it does set him up for some potential combos soon, if he needs to. Blight setting up his weapon charge for the Whirlwind effect that might be very relevant very soon. His hand is amazing. He has the Grim Patron, Warsong Commander Frothing, and an Unstable Ghoul that's going to have charge with the Warsong, all discounted right now. He can play all of that and probably finish the game off in one turn. In fact, there might be nothing Justniice can do to stop it. Justniice is going for the Salcy deckhand right now. He does know it's going to die. He's going for both oils too. He's like, I'm gonna put enough damage on board to where I can win next turn. Potentially. Blight's gonna feel the very big need to armor up here. No armor smith though, that would be kind of a blowout. If he can't just win the game immediately. I didn't do the math yet. I'm pretty sure he can win the game immediately. He's going to get the whirlwind effect with the... Yeah, Unstable Ghoul's going to get my whirlwind effect. He's going to get another whirlwind effect with the 4-1 weapon. Multiple charging patrons. And like a 10 plus attack frothing berserker. This is going to do the trick. Justniice, put lethal on board. Can't fault him for that. There was nothing on board to interact with. No heals in sight. We don't really even know how many Justniice runs outside the heal bot. But it didn't stop Blight's 4-card hand of doom. And just as Justniice went off to a 2-0 start against Staz, we're going to see Blight take a quick 2-0 lead, jump out in front in this match. And the only deck Blight has left is his Warlock. We're still not exactly sure which type of Warlock it is. He's running mid-range Hunter and Patron Warrior, pretty typical of those classes, so in recent tournament trends we can expect, I would say Malagos Lock, that's my guess.
Gul'dan versus Gul'dan. Your soul shall be mine.
The first non-golden class, though. Alright, we got a handlock mirror here, it looks like. Molten Giants seen in Blight's hand. Justniice does already have a Mountain Giant he can play on curve on turn 4. Still waiting to see how Blight mulligans here, unless he mulliganed into those cards. Looks like Blight is really stressing over this mulligan. It's fair. He doesn't know which type of Warlock deck this is. Yeah, either way, Iron Beak Owl seems like a keeper. Against Handlock, it's really great against the Twilight Drakes, such as the one Justniice just drew. And against Zoo, it's really good against Haunted Creeper, etc. European Egg. Going to see both players fight to life tap as often as possible. Well, as often as reasonably possible. Don't want to interrupt your curve to life tap, but they're going to be trying to fill up their hand. And Blight's hand is really reactive right now. He has the Owl to answer the Twilight Drake, but no actual threats to produce of his own. And Justniice has two Mountain Giants, excuse me. Two Moltens wouldn't be as good at all in this matchup. And yet, that's what we see Blight have.
Shields up.
Blight coining out a Sun Fury just so he doesn't overdraw. And it gives him something to kill the Twilight Drake with his Iron Beak Owl. Which I would be shocked to not see. It's not a bad play by any stretch. He gets to life tap 2 along with it. The real question is how he's planning on answering these Mountain Giants that are going to come down for Justniice here in a moment. Yeah, this basically has to be the Iron Beak Owl, I would say. Shame he didn't have Mortal Coil first, so he didn't have to use the Sun Fury to kill it, but them's the breaks. Life tap into Mountain Giant. Not even bothering using the Mortal Coil. Mortal Coil could be used later to actually put the extra damage on something that needs it. Might as well life tap to get your life low. Which is actually something you kind of want to do. To an extent. Playing Handlock always seems pretty counterintuitive, and that's what I tell people who are trying to learn it. You have to be very content doing seemingly nothing.
Possibilities.
An experienced Handlock player won't worry about the board until they can clear it. Both players are running Lord Jiraxis, though. That's something to note. If Justniice happens to win, and Blight has to play it against his Druid, might see some Harrison Jones action. Kind of unlikely, but something to take in consideration.
My shield for Argus.
That is a moderately large Iron Beak Owl. And I say moderately because it can only get so big. It's going to be another sick turn from Justniice, though, as he puts 16-16 on the board. We have 6-cost Molten Giants that Blight can play if he wants to use his entire turn on them, but then he will immediately die. His hand really doesn't look to be that good. Sylvanas on paper is so juicy against this board, but it's just impossible. Going down to 13. Doesn't look like Justniice can put the finishing touches on this game yet, though. He could simply play Sylvanas here. Molten Giants are going to come down, but he already has a BGH for him. He could life tap, but even with the Argus, like, there's nothing he could draw with game to make game. Down to 5 life. Free Molten Giants it is. Could we see Blight turn this around with the Moltens? Exactly enough mana to heal bot and taunt them both up. It's a beautiful thing when it works. Unfortunately for Blight, there is a Shadow Flame in his future, I think. Well, possibly. It possibly doesn't even need to. It's relatively interesting. He could have also Shadow Flamed the Ancient Watcher and followed up with the Dark Bomb and Mortal Coil on the Giant. Well, no, that would have only dealt with one Giant. I was thinking he had Big Game Hunter, but obviously not enough mana to play Big Game Hunter and all of those cards.
I have no time for games.
Alright, so Justniice is running double Shadow Flame. We can assume he's only running one Hellfire in that case. Most of the time, that's how it goes.
My shield for Argus.
Assembling some big Ancient Watchers. Could get himself down. Well, he's down to 9 cards. He could life tab and take advantage of that, but then he doesn't really have a play to follow up with. Doesn't want a Dark Bomb face, I guess. Jiraxis might come down very soon and make the life total irrelevant. Healbot as well. It's in both players' hands, so... But getting himself down to 9... So Blight's board is looking a lot better. He would be dead to Iron Beak Owl plus Hellfire or Dark Bomb here. Wasn't very scared of it.
So many possibilities.
What's this Sylvanas gonna take? Takes the weaker of the two minions. Yeah, I didn't think we were gonna see him dark bomb his own face. I mean, actually, it would let him play the Molten this turn, but that doesn't seem like it's worth it at all. And Sylvanas effectively is as threatening.
I have no time for games.
Less vulnerable to Big Game Hunter. And you don't lose your Dark Bomb, of course. Set yourself up for lethal if your opponent has literally no taunts and no heals. Which, as we know, isn't going to happen. Very clean board clear by Blight. The taunt as well to follow it up with. This could be a Dr. Boom turn. Haven't seen Big Game Hunter yet. Have to assume Blight's running it. He might not have it in time, though. Forward to the face, wow. Basically forces the Jiraxxus. I think Jiraxxus was still probably the play either way, but forward to the face, getting him down that low. Alright, that Boom Bob wasn't as deadly. Only 2 damage to the face. Justniice is in a really dominating position, though. He can play threat after threat and isn't really worried about dying anytime soon. Also, if Blight does make a 6-6 with his hero power, and then use the Defender of Argus to buff it to a 7-7, Justniice is ready with the Big Game Hunter. The worst draw in his deck after that Loatheb. 11 cost Siphon Soul.
Shield for Argus.
And it does look like it's what happened. Big Game Hunter is at the ready. Down to 6 just like that. Wow. Looks like this game is over thanks to Big Game Hunter. We are not going to see a second 3-0 sweep. Swipe. Suppose last match we did see a 3-0 swipe. Swipe was pretty devastating in the last game. But yeah, Big Game Hunter carrying this. Justniice is going to go up to 1 game against Blight's 2. Both, well, alright. So Justniice has his Druid and Rogue still. And if he wants to win this match, it looks like he's going to have to win them both against Blight's Warlock. Seems fairly possible, depending on the draws. It's worth noting Justniice is running Ancient of Wars, so it's kind of like a hybrid build of Druid, where he has the combo and a lot of mid-range minions, but he also has some giant taunts for the aggro decks that aren't going to be too good against Handlock. Obviously that whole hand needed to be shipped. Blight's hand of a Twilight Drake, and a lot of removal. Can't imagine he's going to keep Mortal Coil. Yeah, it seems a lot better. Double Twilight Drake forces him to have double Keeper of the Grove. Justniice has double Innervate. Very interesting stuff. See if he can make some use out of that. Could have played an Azure Drake on turn 1. Shade drawing right there actually messes it up a little bit. He could have innervated one out turn 1. That would have been much better than having to play it on turn 3 and interrupting his innervate. Something as simple as that might change the game. Of course he did draw Ancient of War just now, so we're going to see a turn 3 5/5 that says draw 2 cards. There are worse plays to make. Double Savageor. Double Innervate into the Ancient War that draws double Savageor. For a Drake gonna contest this 5/5 pretty well. There is no Keeper of the Grove in sight.
So many possibilities.
So it looks like the Druid's actually in kind of a rough spot.
Where shall I strike?
And again we see this glitch come down. This is really unfortunate because this game is probably going to drag on for a while. This doesn't happen with every single choose one effect. We've seen a few go off without a hitch, but something involved with Blizzard Spectator mode is it's not really enjoying when people play these cards.
I wonder.
Hoping for all you viewers' sake that few people play Druid in the upcoming matches. Mountain Giant's gonna come down. That was the big fear. There is no type of big game hunter situation going on. So it's not the easiest thing to remove. Swipe's gonna help, but doesn't do the job alone. Shade still looms in the background under the bare form of that Druid of the Claw, which I think is just not going away. My apologies for the glitch. I'll have to inquire as to why that's happening.
What to do?
It might be Blizzard's hilarious way of punishing players for bringing Druid to a tournament. Like, yeah, you can bring it,
Time waits for no
and yeah, you can play these cards, but no one's gonna be able to actually see you win. So pressure's being put on Blight pretty intelligently, setting himself up to try to game him with Savage Wars without letting him play Molten Giant into a lot of crazy things. That could actually work out. I didn't notice this until just now, but there's actually no taunt or taunt giver in Blight's hand.
I wonder.
A lot of the board can be cleared though. Silencing his Ancient Watcher, attacking things. And now we do see an Argus. It's very good for him. Gotta assume there's no big game hunter. It would have happened already. So it's pretty safe to commit to the Argus if he wants to. Alright, the Invisible Shade has died. He thought he was safe under a taunt, but the RMB Cal turned his Ancient Watcher into an attacker and thwarted that plan. This game is very back and forth, and Swipe immediately comes down to clear everything. Harrison Jones is really the only respectable minion in Justnice's hand, and it's worth wondering whether he's going to throw it out there, and whether or not he could be punished by Draxus later. That draw, the big game hunter off the top.
That belongs in a museum.
And he is throwing down Harrison. If I remember from last game, it was Blight. Yeah, Blight did play the Jiraxis, so Justniice knows that he's potentially losing his ability to fight a Jiraxis, but in the process, he's also gaining a win condition if Blight doesn't have a way to answer the board.
I wonder.
Blight's thinking about the best way to contest it. He's got to be worried about the combo itself, Force of Nature, Savage Roar. As we know, Justniice only has the double Savage Roar. Not going to put quite as much damage on the board, but still a fair amount. If you're just tuning in, that's a big game hunter behind the bear for him. See a Molten Giant taunt here. He has to taunt. There's no way he doesn't have to taunt. Even without anything on board, he'd be dead to the combo alone. No second big game hunter off the top, unfortunately, for Justniice. If he even runs two, that is. Seems like Malagos Lock is the only deck that's been running two recently. Justniice is just drawing things in twos this game. Savage Roars, Keeper of the Groves, Innervates. He's spending a Savage Roar. And it looks like a Keeper of the Grove, maybe a Wrath.
I must safeguard the land.
Oh man, I almost got double glitched.
Time waits for no one.
This is a very solid play. The board's pretty much clear. Well, it is actually clear. He does lose some reach, though. Which has to be why he cycled the Wrath. He wants to draw into that Force of Nature. Which is still looming, so Blight might have to taunt again this turn. We know he's not dead if he doesn't, but he doesn't know that. Alright, so he's just out of range of the combo itself. Because the Keeper of the Grove won't be able to take down the Emperor. Will he draw a card, or will he just get the clean kill on the Emperor and summon his own? That's the question. If he draws a card, he has to use his other Keeper right now. That might not be worth it with other silenceable minions in handlock. Or he'd use Savage Roar, but Savage Roar before he has lethal. He can't spend the other one. Yeah, it looks like just a clean kill. More than likely just going to get Siphon Souled. Wow, what a pickup for Blight there. 8/8's definitely what you want to see off the top in that situation. He's probably going to Siphon Soul instead of the Twilight Drake, of course. He doesn't want to die to the combo, doesn't want to get Justniice to have some unnecessary mana reduction. But Justniice is in a pretty awful position right now. Well, playing multiple minions does help, but we might be witnessing the first instance of Druid of the Claw glitch inception. Pressure has been put on him. I respect it. These removal spells cost a lot. He actually, well, he could clear everything. I'm not sure using his entire turn on a Hellfire is the way he envisioned this turn to go. but it might be the way it has to go. Well, even that would put the Molten Giant in range of the Keeper of the Grove, so it's probably just going to use Shadow Flame. There's not really... Yeah, I was thinking there might be a use Shadow Flame later, but doesn't seem like there would be. It's actually a very risky life tap because he would have to have Shadow Flame if he wanted to clear the board, or he would have to have Hellfired and put himself lower. But it worked out with the heal bot draw. He just accidentally played the Twilight Drake after the heal bot, obviously, which was a mistake. But it doesn't seem like it matters too much because he had the Keeper of the Grove regardless.
I must safeguard the land.
This situation is just going to let him... Well, it does actually... Yeah, okay. Wow, I have no idea what's happening. This is pretty insane. I've actually never seen this before in my life. It's never happened to me on spectator mode before. It's never happened when I was watching a tournament, so I'm not really sure what's going on here, but hopefully someone wins quickly because I'm losing track of what's actually on the board. That's a Sunfree Protector if I remember correctly. Keeper of the Grove. A anti-heal bot. Is there something here? Alright, Azure Drake's dead. Apparently that was on the board. And before countless cries of quality production. Handlock has effectively stabilized in this game. Dr. Boom is a great draw though. Either way, Justniice did have 2 draw phases to get to something worthwhile. He found it on the first one though, so he doesn't have to worry. Actually, very threatening couple of Savage Roar. He's just searching for that extra piece, the force of nature that could actually close out the game. Meanwhile, Blight has his own boom. And a Dark Bomb and an Owl and a Shadow Flame, but the boom's the exciting part. No way to clear his opponent's boom, though. Not this turn yet.
So many possibilities.
Almost out of time.
We do see his own boom, and a second Shadow Flame not going to help him clear immediately. Boombot action is happening and dealing a lot of damage to Justniice, who's staring down 12 on board, 3 more in the hand that he doesn't know about. Very close to dying himself. He's taking the draw, just trying to close out this game. Could we see some more Boombot action? For those of you who missed it, which means everyone, that's what we just saw. Dr. Boom just dying to that Boombot. Justniice still in a really bad position. All that remains is the 5/5 Ancient Allure. Blight is getting himself down very low, though. If the Dr. Boom is still at full health, which I think it is, he can taunt it up. Can't taunt Sylvanas up, though. That's obviously what he really wanted to do.
Almost out of time.
Yeah, it looked like it didn't go the way he wanted it to. He might have wanted to hit with the boom and then Shadow Flame the boom. That was actually really bad for Blight. I don't know what happened there. He's now staring down the Shredder. Draws the Lord Jiraxis, and we saw Harrison come down a long time ago, so it's a very safe play. I think it has to be safer than the Dark Bomb or the Life Tap.
So many possibilities.
Drax says, what's the play? Just as time begins to run out. Probably a hit on the face here. And he's still not dead unless this is a force of nature. Not quite, but Cenarius is definitely a good play here. The unfortunate thing is, I'm not sure if he knows it, but Blight does run the double Shadow Flame. Very easy to use
I
on
have no time for games.
Sylvanas. Does he steal the Ancient Watcher with the Cenarius? Oh, he steals the one that can attack. That's brutal. Well, we're going to see Force of Nature very soon. I can't believe he hasn't drawn it yet. That's actually very crazy. He had 2 outs, or 2 draws, 50% chance to win the game immediately. We are going to see a heal bot. We are going to see a Dark Bomb. Oh my god, is that lethal? I think that might actually be lethal.
My shield for Argus.
This is a Dawn I can't see. I'm pretty sure it's lethal. Blight takes this. No, he doesn't take this. Never mind. I thought it was lethal, but it wasn't lethal. It was very close to lethal. Lightwell. We finally see Force of Nature. I have no idea whether it's enough to clear this board or win the game, because I just can't see the board. I think it might be enough to go for game. But yeah, I think so. Even with the Ancient Watcher not being able to attack. Maybe. Yeah, okay. So Justniice does pull it out. Just barely. And under the cover of 4 decision trees from Druid cards that I can't get rid of, we see Justniice tie up this score. 2-2. So Druid won a game that it could have won many, many turns ago if the Force of Nature wasn't on the absolute bottom of the deck. But he finally made it to it, and now we're going to see Rogue versus Warlock.
Valera versus Gul'dan.
Your soul shall be mine.
Watch your back.
So typically people believe that Oil Rogue is slightly favored in this matchup. I used to think Handlock was favored, but to be fair, that was when I just started playing Oil Rogue and wasn't good at navigating the matchups. And it's a pretty tricky matchup. You need to draw well. You need to be able to clear threats while maintaining pressure on the board and a burst potential. But if you're running 2 oils, which most builds are, it shouldn't be too hard to find that burst potential. The typical turn 2 plays are occurring. Life tapping, the old weapon and pass. No threat from Blight yet. We could actually see a reverse sweep here, because I'm liking the way Justniice's hand looks.
Pay attention, class.
throw down this Ancient Washer, put something on board.
Pay attention, class.
Double Violet Teacher. 1 gold, 1 not. That would personally drive me insane, but Justniice might be thinking, I'll put 1 gold, 1 not, and I'll cut the one that performed worse over the course of the tournament. Powerful Owl here. Fortunately for Justniice, he has ample ways to deal with the board. Fan of Knives, Deadly Poison, SI7 Ancient Eviscerate, should be fine. I think I would prefer slightly to be in Justniice's seat here, even though he doesn't have the Blade Flurry or the Oil yet. Both are pretty integral to actually winning the game, but as it stands, not bad. Opting for this play even though Backstab is a little bit wasted on a 1 health minion just because it develops the SI7 agent. And putting things on the board is very important. Also, he just has 8 damage of burst in his hand, along with the Deadly Poison. So, he could be looking to close out the game unexpectedly. If Blight uses this turn to play like an Emperor Thorson or something, if that was an option. It might seem tempting in some cases. As it stands, Blight is lucky enough to have the removal, and that might be a problem for Justniice. Azure Drake was obviously a very good pickup. He would have been delegated to just Fanonizing that turn. So we're about to get in range of some Molten Giant shenanigans. If that's the kind of play Blight wants to make, it's obviously very weak to Sap. In fact, if Justniice had Sap, it would just be lethal.
I wonder.
As it stands, though, he has to do something about this Azure Drake. He's not obviously playing around Double Eviscerate. It's kind of a rare thing to have, but he has to play around Oil itself. You don't want that to be buffing a minion as well. You have to clear the board at all opportunities. Or at least put up a taunt so it's less threatening.
Almost out of time.
I don't think the Emperor Thorson is a very realistic play if he wants to survive.
I wonder.
This is a happy medium. It keeps him in a safe range of lethal, off lethal. Also clears the board. The funny thing is, though, it actually puts him out of range of this Molten Giant Shadow Flame, which would be kind of perfect against this board. So he's going to be forced to Emperor and taunt it up. Will that be good enough? We see Justniice has a lot of damage in his hand. It might actually, if he Deadly Poisons and Eviscerates the 5/5, hits it with a bomb. Depending on how the bomb goes, I think it might be lethal. Or he could go this way, and actually Double Eviscerate face does more damage, so yeah, it is lethal.
Well played.
This is crazy. We just saw a reverse sweep occur. Double Eviscerate is going to take the game for Justniice. Coming back from a 0-2 start to defeat Blight. And we've seen him win 2 matches so far. We're actually going to be watching his next game too.